Maybe you've never wondered this, but why is it that the Adventist Church can be present in 215 countries? And in fact, for every McDonald's in the world, there are 4 Adventist congregations. How did we get here in only 160, 170 years? Today, I have Fylvia Kline with me, who is in charge of Vivid Faith, an exciting project that leads volunteers who are Adventists involved in fulfilling a mission of the church with entities that have positions open for those volunteers and workers to serve in. Fylvia, welcome to A&N In Depth.
I'm glad to be here.
So let's talk first philosophically, and then we go into the tool that you are in charge of that helps people to serve. There are 22 million Adventists in the world, and they seem to have this desire within them, this burning fire for mission. What does that mean, and why is it that Adventists are so keen to fulfill mission?
I can give you my personal thought
Please.
about it. Well, I think it's in the DNA of all Adventists. You know, you from the time you attend your first Sabbath school class, you hear a mission story, and you begin dreaming. So when you hear stories, whether it's a mystery or a nonfiction or whatever it is, it draws you into it. So in our church, we grew up with stories, not just from the Bible, but stories of people who live their Christianity in other parts of the world. And our church does a great job of crafting these stories for every age level. So, you know, when my
You're
little
right.
girl
Yeah, you're
hears
right.
mission stories, immediately she imagines herself, you know, oh, I'm in that jungle, or I'm on that beach, or I'm standing there, you know, sharing my doll with somebody. So it's part of our DNA as we are reared in the church, and as we are brought by this, if you say, life of literature, Christian literature, into our lives. We grow up wanting to live those stories as well. And then that paralleled with a strong biblical principles through our Sabbath School Quarterlies. You know, Sabbath School Quarterly and mission stories go hand in hand right from that first day your mom and dad bring you to Sabbath School, even before you can recognize a picture or say a word. It is there. So
Embedded in the stories that
embedded
you...
Sabbath school lessons and
yeah.
mission stories. So I think that's why it's there. So that's a wonderful foundation we have. However, I feel like over the years, we are, as you say, 22 million strong in membership, but we are not necessarily 22 million strong in witnessing. You know, personally, we grab this identity, but we don't always have ways to express that identity where faith and service come together.
Yeah.
Because there's a lack of opportunities.
And that's the key. It's a serious problem. So as a local church pastor, I remember when somebody came to me and said, "Pastor, you know, every week you present to us the reality that we could do more, that we could serve more, that we could help more, that we could proclaim more, that we could witness more.
Yeah.
But you don't give us any opportunities to do it." It's like, how do I do it in practice? And I realized that there is, you know, we have 162,000 congregations. At least once or twice a week, we expose members to the reality that they could do more. And that pressure builds, you know, okay, I could do more. Okay, I want to do more. What's next? And at a local church level, it's really difficult for, you know, elders, pastors, deacons to create opportunities where people can serve. And a lot of churches that do not create these opportunities, what happens is they die, because it doesn't, even large churches, it doesn't take more than 10, 15 people to put together a worship service on the weekend, and maybe a few more to take care of the treasury and you know, you don't need that many people to run a church. But what do the others do? Are there activities to help those in the community? Okay, there are, fine. In urban areas, we don't know what the community needs. People are locked in their houses and nobody tells us. So this is the conundrum. Churches have more wealth and opportunities to help now than in the history of Christianity. And yet, we don't know what the people living around the church need because they lock themselves up in their homes, and the last place they think to ask for help is a church. How do you see that pressure in a local level? And then we come to the solution that you've been working on.
Well, at the local level, I feel like sometimes we have this idea that our role is to help. So the first mistake we do is we assume the need. As you say, we don't know what people need, but we are very good at making assumptions of what those needs are. So I think historically we've always been a church that helped. We have soup kitchens, we have clothing drives, we do give
Yes.
backpacks to public schools,
Toys
and
yeah,
things like that. But the churches that succeed at a really good model of being entities that serve are churches that partner with other entities. They're not trying to do it by themselves. So if you are an Adventist church, if you partner with a local health and human services, for example, in the U.S. we have government departments who have done all the groundwork, who know what the actual needs are.
all they need are
All the-
people to turn up and help.
Yes. So you work with them. What are the needs? So partner with government agencies, partner with other churches of other denominations, partner with nonprofits, partner with a local business. Then there is a more of a chance of sustainability.
Yeah.
Because you're not trying to do it on your own.
Right.
You're not trying to just work with members who have a full-time job or elders who are trying to take care of their personal lives, their professional lives, and then make time for church.
Organizing volunteers
Yes,
is
and
hard work.
organizing. So when you think big, when you think outside of the traditional way of coming up with a service model, I think there is more success.
Absolutely. Great point. Now let's talk about the world. We have noticed as a church over the last 20, 30 years especially that air travel has become very accessible, and people have looked at, a lot of people have gotten a passport and they travel to other places. The world has opened up over the last 30 years, let's say, where travel is no longer prohibitive. And they started to look for mission opportunities, not only around their home, but in their state, in their country, maybe even in a different continent. And the church did not have an easy way for that to happen. We had Adventist Volunteer Service that has sent out 30,000 plus volunteers to different parts of the world. But we needed a better technology and a better way to manage that process in a healthy way, because there are many risks associated with mission. You have somebody that goes to a country that is dangerous. They don't know that it's dangerous. There are risks associated with disease. There are risks associated with violence. There are risks associated with all sorts of things. So there are checks and balances that we need to go through. And when you talk about scaling that up, it's very difficult. So at the beginning, I was part of the Vivid Faith kind of thought process, infrastructure, thinking through how to solve these problems and so on. The project has developed very well since then. How has Vivid Faith helped so far connect missionaries, people who are willing to serve, with entities that need people to serve?
Well, it's actually it's turned out to be even better than I ever imagined. Every week we have an average of 100 to 150 new people registering on Vivid Faith.
Wow.
2023 has been the first full year of operation, and it's been great. As of today, yesterday, I looked at the figures yesterday, there's 10,646 people registered on Vivid Faith. These are people just this year, and what's amazing is that we have done zero marketing. This is just by word of mouth. This shows that on a philosophical level, you can see what this translates into, how the Holy Spirit is touching people's hearts, saying, be ready to serve, or he's saying, here, I've already called you, go find something.
And they said, I will go.
I will
Sign me up.
Sign me up. But the other thing about Vivid Faith, when we created it, that gives it legs to go farther is because we believe philosophically that when God calls you to serve, it's not just to be a volunteer. You are serving by working at the World Church, right? My grandpa served as a pastor, right? My cousin serves in a secular company, but his life of faith that he lives every day in that company is service because God has called him.
So service
So
isn't just
service
something you
doesn't
do over there.
volunteer.
It's
Yes.
all of it.
Yes. My favorite verse is Romans 12:1, and in the message it says, take your everyday, your walking, your eating, your sleeping, everything. Doesn't say take your 1 year out of college and go serve. It doesn't say take your vacation and serve. It says take your every day. So God calls us to serve. So Vivid Faith is a place that I hope one day will be not just volunteer opportunities, but local church community opportunities. Come every Sunday, do this, that, and the other. Employment opportunity, with ADRA or hospitals where you find people to serve who are people of faith and committed to reflect Jesus' lifestyle of service. So that's what we hope for. Right now, yes, we do already have employment opportunities on Vivid Faith, but predominantly it's volunteer. But we have no problem finding people whom the Holy Spirit has touched. I mean, who better can do our marketing, right? And to do our promotion? It's the Holy Spirit. And our church has already done the campaign, Say I Will Go. Well, the Holy Spirit has been mightily busy, tapping people on the shoulder and say, come on, say I will go. And they say, yes, I will go. But the problem now we have is for these 10,646. So as of yesterday, I have around 500, little less than 500 opportunities to serve. The discrepancy is huge.
So you are highlighting.
Huge.
Vivid Faith has highlighted that our problem isn't the lack of people to
Oh,
serve.
no, not at all.
Our real problem is lack of opportunities for them to
Yes.
go.
So imagine what will happen if we start promoting Vivid Faith, calling people to sign up. We will have millions coming. But will we have enough places for them to serve? I believe that when God calls me to serve, to reflect Jesus, if I cannot find a place to serve in my church, that doesn't mean the Holy Spirit say, oh, you tried, they don't have room for you, don't have to serve anymore. My heart is going to be filled with this passion to serve that I'm going to find a place to serve wherever that is. If it's not in my church, I will find a way to reflect Jesus somewhere else. I will still be his child. I will still be an Adventist. And there's nothing wrong with that. But why cannot we create opportunities when we have needs? There are needs. It's not like we are without needs and we're all sufficient, so we don't need volunteers, we don't need employees, we don't need contractors. We have needs. We just need to convert them into opportunities that others can apply to.
It is very clear to me that the only institutions that have no problems are those that have no vision. Problems, there can be no vision that does not generate some level of problems. If you have a vision to go somewhere, to grow somewhere, to develop the mission wherever it is that you are, that necessitates a new operation, a new direction, new people, and everything rises and falls on people. Technology is not going to do it. Technology is going to help, but it's not going to do it. Processes are going to help, but are not going to do it. There's no point with having a great process and great tools if you don't have the right people.
Yeah. Quick example of that. I need to change the position. So say there's someone looking for a well digger, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So they post the position in Vivid Faith. They say, "Oh, Fylvia, we need a well digger." So okay, everything's done, process is created, we advertise for a well digger on Vivid Faith. And then they just expect a well digger to magically appear. Because there's technology, it's advertised, it's publicly visible on the internet. So if people, Google well digger, job opening, or Christian or something, it's going to pop up. But the organization that needs that well digger, there's some legwork they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
They need to, maybe there's a well diggers association, advertise it there, do some marketing, spread the word around, take the short link I give them, share it with others, with potential candidates or people who know. But so sometimes, yes, you're right. We have the vision, we have the technology, but in between, we need people to bring them together.
Yes.
So that's an issue. The other problem or challenge, let's call it a challenge I see, is that people are overwhelmed. So it's not really a problem. It's really a challenge. As you know,
Finding help takes more work than just doing it yourself.
Yes. So to advertise and to recruit for a well digger, they need to make sure, okay, do I have a place for him to live here? Do I have a job description to advertise?
Do I have the structure to interview? Do I have somebody that can tell a difference between a good well digger and a great well digger?
Yes. So there are all those logistics. So they get overwhelmed. And as you say, they just find a patch, a quick fix to do it themselves. So it's a short-term fix, but that their need is always there, and it's never quite fulfilled. So when I work with organizations trying to help them configure and plan and implement a recruiting plan, a recruiting department, I tell them, when you feel overwhelmed, realize and be assured that this is a one-time thing. Once you find that department, once you've written that job description, once you've trained somebody to interview, you'll never have a problem with it. It's a well digger or a pilot or a doctor or whoever it is you need. But then you have the other issue where people wear multiple hats in our organizations. And to find that time to invest in the logistical infrastructure, operational plans that they need to put in place is kind of difficult.
So as far as I can tell from what you're describing, if an organization wants to, what got them here won't get them there. Let's start there. So if they want to, let's say, maximize their potential for mission, if they want to achieve 10 times more results in 2 years than they did last year, let's say that's the goal. Whatever that organization's goal is, in 2 years they want to achieve 10 times more than what they did this year. They need to step back. They cannot just carry on doing what they're doing because they're going to get the same results. So there is a degree to which you say, okay, let's step back. Let's think of the structure we're going to create to use Vivid Faith as a tool that we will be able to scale to the degree that we need and can afford. How we get volunteers to do what exactly, and part-time workers on contract to do what exactly, and people are going to travel here and live somewhere to do what exactly. So it's that strategic thinking that needs to go into it, and planning. Yep. And that takes time, which means that some things may not get done in the time frame that they are supposed to. So there is okay, we were supposed to achieve this by next month. It's going to take an extra 2 months because it's going to take these few weeks off just to focus on our new infrastructure for how to leverage the tens of thousands of volunteers that will be here, Vivid Faith. I'm sure by the end of next year, as this thing takes off, the exponential curve will kick in. But if Adventist institutions who can call these volunteers do not do that strategic thinking, their growth will always be linear. It will always be, okay, a little bit more, but there will be no explosion. And Vivid Faith can help them explode in whatever mission they find themselves in. is there a way to help them navigate through that complexity? Because it's only you, Fylvia. You know, when you look at the world, I'm concerned that you don't have what it takes enough in this. Do you have help from others? Tell me about the structure at the moment.
At the moment, it's me.
I'm looking at the structure at the moment.
Yeah, but that should not be a hindrance, because the groundwork, the strategic planning that needs to be done for a robust, growing recruitment process, basically all they need is someone to guide them. When I meet with them, my first consultation, I usually meet with them 2 or 3 times. That's enough for them. What they have, what it takes, but as you pointed out, something has to give. They may have to put some things on hold, reprioritize, keeping in mind that if they put this initial work,
they will reap 100 to 1 thereafter.
So all those things they had to let go to get this done
might get done faster once you have it.
because you've done this.
Yep.
So the groundwork, I don't do it myself. So, even though it's just me for now, and that this is only the first year of Vivid Faith, we need to be cautious as we add personnel. So it's not an issue at all for the recruiting entity itself.
And it's very easy to work with you. I have encouraged my team to do that work. We have about 140 independent contractors that work with us in multiple countries. But the truth is we need about 300. So the opportunity for growth is tremendous in very specific tasks and so on. And I'll give you an example. Daniel Bogdanov is an assistant director of communication for technology especially. And we realized that in order for him to maximize his potential, he needed assistants that will help him with tasks that take time and are really important, but do not demand his ability level. It demands a lower ability level. We can find someone else to do those. In other words, people that can do the work so that he can do his job, which is leadership.
Yeah.
So he's worked with you on advertising that position, and he's interviewed people. And there's a good book that I want to recommend for this. It's called The One Thing. And the premise of the book is, what is the one thing you need to do next that will render all the others easier or unnecessary? So that's the Vivid Faith concept, right? What is it that an entity can do next that will render other things easier or unnecessary? Well, great people. Let's start there. Bring great people. And now that with this globalized, with the ability to work remotely with independent contractors based on sometimes hours, not even full time, it enables institutions to have hyper-specialized tasks. Because in the past, you get one person full-time and you build a team of people full-time, only 2 people there out of the 7 need to work full-time. The others are just here and there. And then finding them extra work because you're paying them becomes so cumbersome.
That's
and
right.
The whole thing can ground to a halt quite easily. Well, now with this globalized economy, you can get the best of the best, and all they need to do is 2 hours a week. They come in, they do what they do best, and they come out. You don't pay them full-time, you just pay for that. That's what we've been doing, and it's tremendously helpful.
Yeah, I can see how, I know I've seen GC Communications activity on Vivid Faith, and it's working, this
Yes, it
concept.
is.
Another entity that's using it is Hope Channel International.
Yes.
I think they've gotten, I must say, about 40 to 60 contractors for small jobs on Vivid Faith. Similarly, it's catching on, and that's a good thing. So we don't want to be talking about what should be done and what's not being done, but the thing that's being done is this finding that one thing. And another example is the White Estate. They want to translate their some of their books into many languages. I think they've identified 251 or something.
Wow.
So they're going to use Vivid Faith to
Find the people that can do this.
who can do just that one. Can you do these 3 chapters
yeah.
in this language? And they're working in cooperation with the divisions, where that language is predominantly used, and advertising there to identify people, and then sending them to Vivid Faith to recruit, find the individual process, and as soon as they're approved, then they're onboarded somewhere else and moved to their translation platform. So you have three different platforms.
That's so beautiful.
Three different platforms, one for advertising and recruiting, another for onboarding, another for
Doing the job.
doing the job. And can all be done remotely.
You've got
people and technology coming together
There you go.
beautifully.
and a process.
Process.
We call that strategy. So when we talk about strategy and people say, I need a strategy for this,
That's
I
right.
immediately ask, okay, who are the people? What are the processes? And what are the tools that you're going to use? For me, those three things constitutes a strategy.
Yeah.
If you have the tools and the process, but you don't have the people, then you don't have a strategy yet. What you have is a plan, but it's not a strategy. Find the right people.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Fylvia, thank you for joining us in A&N In Depth. We're going to come back with another episode to talk about other things related to this. And we thank you for your willingness to come and help us understand a little bit more about Adventist mission and how we can fulfill it.
Glad to be here.
And thank you for listening and or watching A&N In Depth. It's a pleasure to have you here. If you have any comments or questions for Fylvia, you go to the comments on YouTube. This is also on YouTube, and you type those questions there. I want to point out that if you want to be one of those that say, I will go, and you want to serve somewhere, vividfaith.com. Vividfaith.com. Simple, easy. Go sign up now. Don't delay it. And as far as A&N In Depth is concerned, we'll see you in another episode.